Welcome to Living Life on the Mat with Keisha B. Spivey, a weekly podcast that will challenge you and encourage you to live your best life yet. Hello there. I am so excited that you are tuning in with us for week 7 on how to navigate problems. We've talked about a problem every different direction that you can think of. And today I believe we're going to hit this thing from a perspective that will shift your mindset when it comes to problems. Over the last couple of weeks, we've just talked about how everybody has them. You can't get away from them and that problems are part of life. And I believe it was last week, a quote from Thomas Edison. And he said that opportunity is missed by most people because it's dressed in overalls and it looks like work. I'm going to say that again. Opportunity is missed by most people because it's dressed in overalls and it looks like work. For these last few weeks, we have been deep diving into problems. It's literally we've been undressing them so that we can get down to the core of what a thing really is, so that you're dealing with the piece of the part that keeps coming up in your life that you need to address, the real thing that's standing in between you and the promise that's waiting for you on the other side. And it's almost like we've gotten the problem naked. We've stripped it down, all the emotions, all the masks, all the distractions. And now it's time for us to put this thing into a proper framework. Why is that so important? Because perspective matters. How you view something matters. The lens in which you see things, it matters. We must learn how to frame a problem so that we're looking at that thing with the end in mind. We have to think about when we're dealing with the problem, the thing that we want most over the thing that we want right now. And sometimes it's hard when you're caught up in the middle of a situation and problems are pressing in and you want to make a quick decision. You want to do something that'll bring you some comfort and you want to do something that's going to bring you some instant relief. But a lot of times when we're in that state of mind, all we do is create additional problems that we're going to have to deal with on tomorrow when we are trying to quickly figure out something and we're responding in our emotions and we're responding in our flesh. A lot of times we don't make the best decision. So when we're talking about navigating problems, you need to know that perspective matters. You know, Stephen Furtick said it best. He says your perspective will either become your prison or your passport. It will literally become the thing that locks you in, or it's going to be the thing that lifts you up. I want to say that again. Your problems are going to be the things that lock you in, or they're going to be the things that lift you up. It can lock you into circumstances and conditions that you don't want, or it can lift you out to the place that you long to be, to the things that you long to have, to the person that you desire to become. So how you look at your problem, the perspective and the lens is important. And as I was preparing for this lesson, the word kept coming to me that we need to learn how to angle it. We need to learn how to angle a problem so that we're looking at it from the right perspective, so we're able to see it for what it could be and not necessarily for the thing that it's presenting itself as. You know, the angle of a problem and the angle and the view in which you look at a problem, the lens in which you are dealing with that problem is important because problems have many solutions, but very few problems are really resolved without angling it. Without angling it in a direction that allow it to work out for your good and to give you an outcome that you're pleased with. When I look up the word angling, it says, you're seeing this thing from so many different angles. And I kept thinking on that thing and stirring around on that thing and I couldn't get peace. I'm like, God, what is the big deal with angling it? Seeing it from a different perspective. And so, of course, I went to Webster. And when I looked up the term angling, it's like a fishing term. It's the sport or the pastime of fishing with a rod and a line. And I sat on that thing for a minute and I thought about, what if we looked at our problems through the lens of a fisherman? When you imagine a fisherman, you can see his rod, you can see his line, and he has a hook. And the goal is to catch a fish. But he's not using his hands. He's using a tool with the link hooked onto it, connected to it. And when you think about a problem from this perspective, when we're dealing with them, we need a line that's connected to the rod to get to the answer. You use it and you hold that thing in your hand. But you, the person, is not directly connected to the problem. Let me explain that for a moment. So often when we get a problem, we get it personal, we get in our emotions, we are touching that thing, we're all over top of that thing. But the reality is, if we angle the problem correctly, like a fisherman, there's a fishing rod in my hand that's hooked to a line that has a hook on the bottom. I'm not jumping in to catch the fish. I'm recognizing that the thing that I want is over there, but I'm using tools and I'm using resources to catch that thing, to solve the problem. So if I'm hungry and I'm fishing because I'm hungry, then I'm going to use the tools and the resources in between me and the thing that I want so that I can navigate that thing. You have to realize there needs to be a line in between you, the person, and it, the problem. And I know that's hard for us because we immediately turn this thing around on what's wrong with me. What haven't I done? What do I need to do? We start looking at it through such a personal lens. We literally attach ourselves to the problem. And we're not seeing it through the potential lens because we're looking at it in a personal lens. You know, what is the potential that's tucked away inside that problem that you need to fish out? You have to look past the problem and you got to remember the goal. The goal isn't the fishing rod. The goal isn't the line. The goal is the fish. So what is the goal as you're dealing with and undressing and packing the problem? You know, my dad is a fisherman. My brother fishes. And I look at all their tackle and their boxes with all the fish and fake crickets and things in it. And then they go buy minnows and they buy all these things to catch certain types of fish. They're very creative in their approach. What if we fired up our creativity when we were addressing the things that we wanted to catch and the things we wanted to do and the things we wanted to overcome? What if we just really made up our mind to think through the problem with a different lens? What if we decided to become an interrogator of our own life, to squeeze out what life has already taught you thus far? You know, as I remember being a little girl going fishing with my dad, and he'd tell me to be quiet, and he'd teach me how to put the little worm on the hook, and he would teach me all these things. And even as I was preparing to talk to you today, I thought back about the process. And I thought about the same thing is needed when we're dealing with and working through problems and challenges. What if we decided to fish out the wisdom from past experiences? What if we decided to seek wisdom? You know, who are the wise people in your life? Who are the counselors? Who are the mentors? Who are the people close to you that have already navigated this terrain that can help you get through it? What book have you read, or what book can you read that can teach you how to navigate this thing excellently and efficiently? Think about fishing out, seeing the way. What if you literally took the time to think out the process? Stop acting haphazardly and just quick response. But what if you started to see the way through and you thought of the means to the end? What if you decided to see your way to the other side of what's waiting on this problem? And then what if you decided to secure the win? Hello? Who wants to go through problems for nothing? Who wants to just go through life lessons and not get any benefit? What if you decided, I'm in this thing to win this thing? What is the thing I want to win? What does winning look like to me? What's the goal? What's the objective? What is worth me going through this process? What's worth me falling down and getting back up? What's worth me scratching up my knees? What's worth it? What's the win? So often as I'm navigating through tough situations, I have to stop and ask myself, Keisha, what is the win? Because if I don't identify what the win is, I can have that thing and still be fighting in the problem. I can still be fighting the challenges, and I've already won. You've got to identify the win. You know, to achieve the things you desire in life, you cannot ignore the signs of change or oncoming challenges. Challenges are going to come. You can't ignore oncoming challenges. You can't live in denial. so often I sit before people and I'm coaching them or I'm counseling them or I'm just having a conversation with them. And they literally believe if I don't think about it, if I don't deal with it, it's just going to go away. That's not the case. You have to deal with it. You have to deal with it. Because if it's left untreated, if it's left dressed, and you don't make that thing get naked to the place of you pulling back all the pieces that could be stopping you, that could be hindering you, that could be standing in between you and the promises that God has for you. Not only are you in denial, but you're missing out. You're just going through life sucking up good air instead of living a life that's purpose-driven. I read something in my devotion that really stood with me, and I just had to share it with you. It was so powerful. It talked about how the faith path is not one of continual success, but one of multiple failures, followed by growth spurts that teach us to depend more and more on Jesus and less on ourselves. Why is that so important? Because you know what? With every problem that comes your way, you may not have the solution. It may not work out the way that you want. It may take longer than you thought. You might have to retake the test. You might not have got the intended outcome that you wanted. What you need to realize is, wait a minute. It may look like a failure, but if I fall forward and I keep crawling until I can stand up, if I fall forward even in this problem while I'm seeking out a solution, at least Keisha, who's 5'7", I fell that much further toward the goal. I fell that much forward toward the solution. Stop thinking that your life is supposed to be just one big success after another. I don't know who told you that you get to escape going through. I don't know who told you that you weren't going to have to fight some obstacles and deal with some challenges and there wouldn't be giants that presented themselves in your life. It will. Life is not one continual success. It's a whole bunch of failures. That you get up and you keep going. You learn, you grow. You get up, you keep going, you fall. You face another problem. You might get knocked back, but you get back up. Problems are not designed to take you out of the game. They're designed to build your muscle, to build your character, to build your stamina, to help you learn to persevere. The best angle from which to approach your problem is called the triangle. The triangle, the TRY angle. It's the triangle. For the past 7 weeks, we've discussed fearlessly navigating problems. Now, the only question left to ask yourself is, will you try? Will you do the work? Will you do what's required? Will you do the hard work? Will you do the homework? Will you do the hard work? Will you try? Will you try to see potential instead of problems, opportunities instead of obstacles, doors instead of denial, possibilities packed with purpose instead of just problems? Will you try? Will you try? Psalms 34:19 says, "The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all." My favorite word in that verse is but. Why? Because there is nothing like a big Bible but. Nothing like a big Bible but. When you think about the word but, it's a conjunction. And conjunctions are words that join things together. Other words or other groups of words. And when I went to the dictionary, yes, I went to Webster, y'all, and I looked up the definition of but, it says, except for the fact. That was the first definition out of 5. Except for the fact. So when you think about this definition and you think about Psalms 34:19, it says the righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all. Yes, problems show up at your door, but don't you forget the fact that the Lord delivers you from them all. It doesn't say some, it says them all. So when you seek his face and you listen for his voice, he's going to guide you through whatever the problem is to get you to the place he has for you. Don't you dare attempt to address or attack a problem without inviting wisdom to lead the way. For 7 weeks now, we've talked about how to navigate it. We've talked about how to deal with it. We talked about how to address it. Today, we talked about how to angle it. It would not be fitting or even fair to me or to you to close out this session without reminding you you aren't designed to get through this thing on your own. And you don't have to. There's help. There's hope. Yeah, the problems are coming at you and you feel like nobody else knows what you're going through. You feel like you have to do it by yourself, but quit lying to yourself. There are people in your life that'll navigate with you. But even greater than the people that'll navigate with you, you've got a God who's already gone before you. He's made crooked paths straight. He lights up dark places, and all he is doing is waiting for you to invite him in. And when you do, that will be how you learn to fearlessly navigate the problems that show up in your life. I hope that this series has blessed you and has encouraged you. It's made you realize that, problems are part of the package, but you can overcome and you can become. And so until we connect on next week, be encouraged and do you to the max. God bless.